Good afternoon, everybody. Thank you very much for joining us for this session today to discuss one of the benefits that you're able to access as a Select member. Let me introduce myself. My name is Vicky Leslie. I am the Client Relationship Manager at ECIS. Who are ECIS? I hear you call. So we are an associate member of Select. We are a broker. That means that we are regulated and specialised in helping with a number of different employee benefits, but we do also facilitate and run on behalf of Select members a rather large Bupa arrangement that allows you to support yourself and your core value, which are your employees, in terms of their health and well-being. So we do appreciate that there can be quite a bit that goes into this kind of a policy. Lots of really, really good things that you may not be aware of as well. So we really thought that today could be a good opportunity for Select members to know more about the policy, what it covers, how it works, and all the fantastic things that Bupa can do to help you and support you and your employees and your business to stay fit and healthy. So I'm delighted today to be joined by the wonderful Johnny Hudson, who is our account manager at Bupa. So obviously Johnny is our subject matter expert, and he's now going to take us through some information and details regarding the policy. Now, there is a Q&A, so please do feel free throughout the course of the presentation to post questions, anything you'd like confirmation of, anything you'd like us to answer. Please do pop those in the Q&As, and obviously we will come to those at the end of the session. So, Johnny, over to you.
Brilliant. Thanks very much for that, Vicky, and thanks everybody for joining today's session. So, as Vicky mentioned, I'm Johnny Hudson. I'm one of the key account managers at Bupa, and I'm responsible for the relationships that we share with the ECIS and its members. So, the purpose of today is to share with you a bit of an insight into what we do to make you aware of what's available to you as a customer. I'm going to start off by taking you through details of the policy and the benefits that you get by being a Bupa member. I'll then touch on, obviously really importantly, how to claim along with all the other support that's available to you. And obviously happy to answer any of the questions that you've got today. But as we run through the session, if you do want to pop them into the chat function, that would be greatly appreciated. And I will do my best to answer them at the end. So I'm going to get straight into it, and hopefully you can all see my slide moving along. That would always be a good start. But it's straight into things beginning with fast access to support. So there are certain conditions where you don't need to see your GP before contacting Bupa, and we offer what's known as direct access to treatment. So for muscles, bones and joints, you'll hear me refer to it as MSK. Any symptoms of cancer and mental health, we ask that you contact us directly. And it's important to note that with Bupa, the direct access pathways aren't mandated. So if you did have a digital GP or a traditional GP referral, that's absolutely fine as well. So for MSK, if you do have any muscle, bone or joint issues, just give Bupa a call and we'll arrange a telephone consultation with a senior physiotherapist to discuss your symptoms and treatment options. For any concerns for symptoms of cancer, give us a call again and we'll triage the symptoms and can refer to a specialist there and then for appropriate diagnostics and consultations so that we're able to diagnose your conditions much faster. For mental health, again, if you are experiencing any symptoms of a mental health condition, so that can be anything really from stress, anxiety, or any other mental health condition for that matter, just give us a call and you'll be able to speak to one of our mental health practitioners who can listen and guide you to the right source of support. So I'm just going to talk in a little bit more detail about each of those specialist support areas, starting off with our MSK team. So we all rely on our bodies for everything that we do, so any issues themselves need to be sorted as quickly as possible. And where left untreated, an MSK condition can have a huge impact on your health and well-being. So the physiotherapists that we have can offer advice on managing your pain and can also provide a specialist referral if you need one through the triage service. So during that initial telephone conversation, the physios can give you practical advice, self-help exercises to aid recovery and help you manage the condition. Where face-to-face treatment is needed, they can arrange for you to see an appropriate specialist. And it's important to note here that we do explore all the different treatment options with you to allow you to make a more informed decision about your own personal treatment plans. If you are awaiting surgery as well, it's a really important point to make that is that you can then access case management support with structured prehabilitation, as well as pain management advice and online resources. Prehabilitation could include things like personalised exercise programs to improve joint mobility and strengthen muscles surrounding the joint. Obviously, the aim is to help you be in the best health possible for when your treatment's ready to progress, and could improve at least post-operative outcomes. The clinicians can also help you manage your pain through lifestyle advice and education, and also guide you through online pain management resources as well. So a really, really useful team. Moving on to our cancer promise. So if you are diagnosed with cancer, you've got complete reassurances that there's no financial or time limits on the policy. So you'll have access to breakthrough drugs and treatments often before they're available on the NHS, as long as they're approved by NICE and evidence-based. Treatments themselves can be taken within one of our networks of specialist cancer centres, specialist hospitals, with our Bupa recognised consultants. And if appropriate, chemotherapy itself can actually be administered in the home setting. We've also developed specialist breast and bowel cancer centres, which offer quick access to support with a multidisciplinary team at the hospital. So in one visit, you can be given the all clear, or if required, diagnostics and tests can be done within 4 working days of calling Bupa. And if there is a diagnosis of cancer, we know then that treatment can commence really quickly, which is obviously a really, really valuable point. Just a bit more about cancer support. So the specialist support teams themselves can offer on hand to offer advice on vital decisions as well. So understanding that cancer diagnosis can be difficult. So we offer things like emotional and psychological support available if required with our counsellors. We also help to support families because we think that's really important. So we offer support conversations with children to explain diagnosis and treatments really clearly. We also provide access to our cancer survivorship program. So that was designed to support the transition from cancer treatment to living with and beyond cancer. So the teams will support any concerns, they'll provide lifestyle advice, and they'll also provide signposting to support groups that may be helpful as well. Just as an extension, I guess, to our cancer support and our cancer direct access. So additionally, through our specialist support teams, we also offer a remote skincare pathway. So again, if you are concerned about a mole or lesion, there's no need for a GP referral. Just call us and one of our team will triage your symptoms. And if appropriate, they'll send you a kit which includes a dermatoscopic lens. And it basically enables you to take the images to be uploaded and assessed by a dermatologist, and obviously from there results can be confirmed for you, and anything suspicious will be investigated. Just moving on to our mental health support team. So for mental health conditions, we've made access to treatment much easier. So for any of you that have been with Bupa long enough, you may remember that we used to historically have a 3-year policy ruling in place for mental health support, but that time limit's now being removed. So it means that we can support if mental health conditions reoccur. We've also extended our cover into areas that aren't previously covered. So really the exceptions to our mental health benefit would be learning difficulties, behavioural and developmental issues, as well as dementia. So as a result of the time limitations being removed, it means that we're now able to offer that ongoing support, and that can be through how to manage mental health, whether that be the maintenance of a diagnosed condition or just help with managing ongoing symptoms. And when you have your telephone consultation, the mental health practitioners, they'll listen to you and explain what the best course of action is, and you'll be referred on to the most appropriate treatment, which could be a variety of different things. So it could be things like talking therapies, online CBT, or psychiatry. It's a really, really useful team. Now, just before we do move on to sort of the rest of how to claim, there is just one more thing I wanted to mention. So this one, a GP referral is required, but I did want to mention our remote cardiac pathways. So the traditional route for cardiac is face-to-face consultations and diagnostics, but that proved to be really, really difficult during COVID. So it basically encouraged us to introduce our rapid cardiac pathways. So it means that we can now offer remote consultations and diagnostics. So as I mentioned, GP referrals required, but again, if you just call our specialist support team, they'll be able to guide you and support you appropriately. And it just means that we can provide results delivered by remote consultation and a treatment plan provided within, much quicker turnaround time. So again, a really, really valuable benefit. So obviously, I've spoken broadly about our direct access pathways and specialist patient support. I'm just going to recap on routes to care as well as note the more traditional routes to treatment. So obviously contact us before you're speaking to a GP. So as I mentioned, MSK, mental health, cancer, you can use the direct access pathways. There's no need for a GP referral. Call the team, explain your symptoms, and we'll assess and guide you appropriately. But for any other condition, or if you did have a GP referral, we just ask you to provide us with a referral from a GP that specifies the type of specialist that you need to see. A named referral is, of course, acceptable. And I'll talk you through our facilities finder shortly, which is, I think, a good reference point for that. But from there, for eligible treatment, the advisor themselves should provide you with a pre-authorization code, and that usually covers things like your initial consultations, diagnostics, any initial tests. And then as you go through the treatment journey, it's just really important that you keep us updated at each stage. And that way we can continue to provide you with all the reassurances that the treatment itself will be covered and give you the pre-authorization codes to take to your treating provider. Babylon, so virtual GP services. So as a Bupa member, you'll have access to the Babylon app, and that includes any dependents that you've got covered on your Bupa policy. So this service, it's already available. So if you are yet to join, please do register for the service. For those of you who haven't seen or heard of Babylon previously, it means that you can talk to a GP, nurse or pharmacist at any time of day or night directly from your mobile. So appointments are normally available within a matter of hours. The Babylon GPs can issue referral letters, which can be used if you need to pre-authorize treatment with Bupa, which, as you'd imagine, it just really complements our service, and it ensures that we can provide that all-round fast access to care. For general care, they can also provide prescriptions, so you can have your prescriptions sent electronically to your chosen pharmacy for collection, or have your medication delivered to your door. Now, a quick note on this one is that the cost of the prescription itself is a private prescription, and therefore it can cost more or less than an NHS prescription charge. What I would say is that where there is a specific need for a long-term prescription that's perhaps higher value, they will generally give you enough to satisfy your needs, during which time they would prompt you to make an appointment with your own NHS GP, just to help with cost more than anything. You can also use the Babylon symptom checker. So they have a powerful AI tool which basically analyzes millions of different symptom combinations in seconds, and really that's designed to give you the most relevant health information. So it's a really, really useful tool all the same. So to access Babylon, all you'll need to do is download the app, and that's via the App Store or Google Play, depending obviously on the type of device that you have. Register and enter your details as they appear on your Bupa registration, and complete the code that's specific to the scheme. So that recognises you as a Bupa member and enables us to provide the service as part of the proposition. So you'll be prompted for a code which is just on screen in the second box there, and that's ECIS PMI. Okay. Moving on to our facilities finder. So Finder is our online resource that puts all of Bupa's recognised specialists and services at your fingertips. So here you can view all the information you need so you can make an informed decision about where to go and who to see for your treatment. So you can search for a Bupa recognised consultant, therapist, anaesthetist. You can do that by specialty, postcode or name. You can read all about their experiences and qualifications. You can find out more about the facilities and services they offer near to your home or work. You can find contact numbers to book appointments, and you can see where they are on a map. And just to put into context, there's a choice of over 22,000 consultants. There's over 1,200 facilities, and that's across the UK. So it's a really, really expansive network of specialists that we provide access to as part of your insurance. So moving on to the features of the PMI scheme. Now, with this section, I just wanted to confirm that for full benefit details, terms and conditions of the policy, just refer to your registration certificate and membership guide. But if you did want to contact our member services to discuss anything further, you're more than welcome to. But I just wanted to focus on some of the key areas that I think were worth highlighting as part of the insurance. So that starts with underwriting. So the underwriting on the policy is medical history disregarded, and that means that we don't take into consideration pre-existing conditions. So you're covered for any eligible condition that may have been present prior to joining Bupa, and therefore there's no requirement for you to provide us with any medical history. Now, it would be important for me to highlight actually cover is obviously designed to support acute conditions, so any emergency cover should be accessed via A&E. And also chronic conditions, there's just a general exclusion placed on chronic conditions such as asthma or arthritis. Your excess. So obviously having an excess means that you have to pay your treatment costs up to the amount of your excess. So with a rolling excess, you pay this on your first eligible claim per member. So with the rolling excess, you only ever need to pay the total amount of your excess once every 12 months, even if you make more than one claim and for more than one condition. So in your example, if treatment was to cost £500, you've got an agreed excess amount of £150. That means you'll pay £150 and we'll pay the remaining £350. And it's just important to note then that your excess restarts every 12 months, even if treatment's ongoing. So your excess, could apply twice to a single claim if your treatment begins and ends beyond that 12-month period, but it's just worth highlighting that. Cash benefits. So if you opt for an NHS hospital stay, we'll pay you a cashback amount for every night you stay in hospital, and a cashback amount is payable for 35 nights. Now, I've described that the policy has got full cancer cover, and if you did have treatment for cancer in an NHS day case or inpatient setting, there is a cash benefit payable of £100 cash per day. That doesn't have any restrictions on the number of nights for which that is provided. And the reason I always like to highlight the cash benefits is more because dependent on your company's sick pay policies, it may mean that after a certain period of time you move on to statutory sick pay, but obviously still have those financial responsibilities at home. And an NHS cash benefit can obviously go quite a long way towards contributing towards those financial burdens and responsibilities that you have at home. So it's just worth bearing in mind. So I'm now going to move on to Bupa Touch, and then I'll talk about all the additional support that we provide to our customers. So Bupa Touch, that's our new online portal to help you manage your health cover quickly and securely. So you can check your documents and benefits information so that you're always in control. You can find answers to your health questions with a library of trusted health information. And you can also access other services such as things like our digital GP service. And that's not all, there's plenty more to that. You can book appointments with a specialist without needing to call us. You'll be able to review and access your claims history and benefit from more services such as our 24-hour nurse-led helpline and our family mental health line, which I'm going to talk about shortly. The good news is one login does it all. If you already have any other policies or products with us, such as things like dental insurance on a consumer basis, or you've had health assessments previously, you'll be able to access them through the Bupa Touch account, as well as seeing and navigating to other digital services included in the policy. Okay. So the digital experience really focuses on 3 areas, which are the digital tools. So you've got your cover, so that's about putting you in control of your policy. So it's your go-to place for all of your policy information and documents. There's an area which is focused around your care, so that's supporting you when you're worried or concerned. And then there's an area that's focused on your well-being, so helping you to understand more about your health so you can be at your best. And you'll see on screen there's a URL to Bupa Touch, which is bupa.co.uk/touch dashboard. And again, it's accessible via the App Store or Google Play. So if you just want to search for Bupa Touch in those areas as well and download and register, that would be absolutely great. All of the next features I'm going to highlight are things that are available through Bupa Touch. So Silver Cloud, we've teamed up with Silver Cloud to give you access to online mental wellbeing programs. So Silver Cloud can help you manage stress, sleep better, and build resilience. It's really easy to get started. So once within Touch, if you select the sign up button to set up an account, you'll be able to access a variety of different programs. There's videos, tools, and activities that help you look after your mental and emotional well-being. Every program's got relevant validated questionnaires, and they only take a couple of minutes to answer, but they enable you to track your progress, and obviously your answers, and indeed anything you fill in or write using the program's kept completely confidential, which is important to highlight. You can access all the sections in your program from your homepage. There's some really helpful tips there too. So obviously from a suggestion perspective, we'd encourage people to log in once a week. Obviously, the more you put into the program, the more you'll get out of it. The program's really easy to follow. You'll find new activities that'll help hopefully you apply what you learn into your daily life. And obviously start with one program at a time. Feel free to consider other programs that are available to you as well. We've got our anytime nurse-led helpline service. So as a Bupa member, you've got access to our 24-hour-a-day nurse-led helpline service where you can speak to a trained clinician who can help and support you with any medical questions or health and wellbeing support. So whether that be things like travel advice, medication advice, diagnosis information, seasonal advice, advice for children, it's not too dissimilar to the NHS 111 service. It's just rather than having conversations with scripted advisors, obviously speaking to specially trained clinicians who have obviously got expertise across a number of different subject areas. So it's a really valuable team. We've just launched our menopause helpline as well. So it's similar to our helpline service. We provide access to a 24-hour-a-day nurse-led helpline for menopause. So obviously it's a natural part of life, but doesn't always come up naturally in conversation, especially in the workplace. So we've created the new menopause helpline service. It means that you can speak to trained nurses in complete confidence for personalised clinical advice on things like managing symptoms and just generally moving forward. So the advice is obviously free to all employees with the health insurance. You can call as many times as you like with no impact on your benefits. Family mental health support line, that's also available, and that's aimed at parents and carers who've got concerns about a child or young person's mental and emotional wellbeing. So we've got a team of trained advisors and mental health support nurses that are on hand to help. So this is purely an advice, support and signposting service, and it does sit separate to our pre-authorization claims line. The positive thing is that your children don't need to be an insurance customer for you to benefit from this support, which hopefully gives you as parents that additional piece of support when it's needed most. Health hubs, take a look at bupa.co.uk. There's a wealth of clinically supported health information which is continually updated. So on there you'll find videos, health blogs, health topics and podcasts, and they're all regularly updated by our clinical teams. We also provide access to a full A to Z of health information. So again, for most people who are diagnosed with a condition which may be unfamiliar to them, we often take ourselves to Google or other search engines which tend to bring up the horror stories. So, at least through the health hub, you'd be greeted with credible information from a reliable source. And then finally, Bupa Rewards. So as a Bupa member, you'll have access to the Bupa Rewards portal, and that's via Cherry London. So this provides you with access to discounts and brand savings all year round. Signing up's really easy. So you just simply go to bupa.co.uk/corporate-bupa-rewards and register to access the savings. And your login is the same as your membership number. And that takes me to the end of the presentation itself. I don't know if there's been any questions coming through the chat, has there, Vicky?
I actually do have a couple of questions that have been sent to me. We do have one. Someone has asked that their company will close down when they retire in 2 to 3 years' time. How can they continue to maintain the Bupa cover as an existing member?
Yeah, brilliant. Yeah, we have an XGS process in place for enabling continuity of cover for existing Bupa members. So when the time comes, where you're looking to continue that treatment, we have a consumer team that you can reach out to directly, and they'll just ask you a few questions about obviously the continuation options for benefit, but we'll look to ensure that you've got that continuation of medical underwriting. So where you've got medical history disregarded at the moment, we'll just ensure that you've got no permanent exclusions in place on any other policy that you take moving forward. So we can definitely support with that.
Lovely. Thank you, Johnny. I've also had a question. This was asked of me just before, in regard to dependents. So I had a query as whether or not dependents could be added to this policy. So we can confirm that yes, you can add dependents. Immediate family. So you're able to add your partner or spouse. So obviously, if you're married or if you're living with somebody, then they can be added on to the policy as your partner. And then children can be added to the policy up to being 25. So they will be renewed from the policy on the renewal following their 25th birthday. And there's no limit in terms of how many children that you can add. Obviously, you can add one. If you've been very, very busy and you've got several, then you can add all of them onto cover as well. So we have had another few questions. You mentioned that prescriptions would cost extra. So I'm assuming this is if somebody obviously speaks to the private GP. Can you detail what charge they would be for Scotland, as our prescriptions are government funded?
So it sits outside of the NHS. So the digital GP service is a private service, and therefore the benefit obviously that you have in Scotland of having NHS prescription charges covered wouldn't be the case if you were seeking prescriptions through the Babylon app itself. It would be your own expense, and I think that's why it's probably important that I highlight again that perhaps for one-offs, that seems quite reasonable, but where there is perhaps a requirement for you to have a longer term prescription, it would be reasonable for you to then transition directly onto the NHS for prescription charges. But the Babylon GPs themselves will have conversations with you about that. Obviously, the benefits of virtual GP services privately is that you're ensuring that you've got that fast access to immediate care and support. Whereas, as we know at the moment, with the pressures within the NHS, that access to NHS GPs can be quite restrictive. Can take a couple of weeks in reality to access that care and support. So,
thank you, Johnny.
Hopefully that answers that question.
So somebody has asked about adding their wife onto the policy. So yes, as I said, that is possible. You do have a couple of ways that you can add people onto cover if you do have an existing policy already. Now that can either be through the Canopy system, which is the ECIS employee portal that you're able to access. So whoever your sort of contact is for Canopy can actually access the system and add dependents onto the main employees' benefits. It's a very intuitive system and fairly straightforward, but the benefits team can always assist you if needed. Or alternatively, you can contact the benefits team just in case you do have queries, or you would like to add somebody on the policy and maybe you either don't have access to Canopy or you're not sure about the system. Please do contact the benefits team. So just to confirm, grab yourself a pen in a moment and I will give you the ECIS team's email address and contact number, just so you have that available. So that email, this is being recorded. So if you don't catch it, if you don't happen to have a pen available, or as always seems to happen to me, I grab a pen and then the pesky thing doesn't work, you will be able to refer back to it as well. And obviously you can contact myself or Ian Mason if you did have a question, and we can send those details over. So the email address for the team is ecis@ecis.ns.co.uk, and the contact telephone number is 0330 221 0241. Now I have also been asked, there's another question that's come into the Q&A. Please do keep them coming if you do have other questions. Is there a minimum number of employees for the policy? No, well, the minimum number is one. So you don't have to put, this is another one of the benefits in terms of the structure of the scheme. With it being a large corporate arrangement, it does mean that a big big benefit is the number of people that are covered by the policy. So it's around 14,000 people that are on the Bupa scheme. It obviously does mean that if you do make claims, that you are spreading your claims risk amongst the entire population. So you're not carrying it on your own shoulders, and you won't see increases at renewal based on your own company's experience, because it is spread across the group. But it does mean that we don't have a minimum number of employees. You can have as few as one. So if you have a group on your company, maybe you're looking at directors or managers or a section, you can look at putting those on cover. There is also a secondary policy which is called value. We do have a number of our clients that have got the main ECIS scheme for maybe their senior managers and directors, and the value policy, which works in exactly the same way. It's on the same contract as the benefits that Johnny has just gone through. There are just a couple of changes in terms of things like the outpatient limit, the cancer cover, that do mean that the policy is a slightly different price point, but that's an option for you to look at as well. But it's one person required to be on cover. And a final question that I was asked directly was in regard to, and this is coming back to the digital GP again, Johnny. Someone has just asked, does the excess, the 150 excess, does that apply if somebody uses the digital GP service?
It doesn't, no, it doesn't. So the excess is only comes into play at the point in which you access treatment through Bupa. So yeah, feel free to make contact with the digital GP service as often as you need to. That's absolutely fine.
Fabulous. So looking at the Q&As, we don't currently have any further open questions. So we'll start to wrap up. If there is anything you do think of as we're talking that you would like to ask, please do just pop it in the Q&A. If anything does come up afterwards, please don't hesitate to pop it through to Ian, and he will happily pass it on to the team. Or obviously I've given you the benefits team's email address and telephone number, so please do feel free to call us directly. So I would like to thank Select today for allowing us the opportunity just to really reiterate a number of the benefits. Hopefully you have found today very useful, and it's really sort of provided that little bit more information about some things that you might not know, especially things like the remote services, which I think are really important and fundamental, especially at a time where we're all very, very busy. As Johnny said, obviously accessing certain benefits through the NHS can be very challenging at the moment, and the NHS are really working hard to do their best, but obviously a lot of people needing a lot of services. So I really like to refer to those remote services as armchair healthcare, because it really enables you to be in the comfort of your own home and actually just picking up a phone, making a call, and really then starting that process. Because again, please do remember that early intervention is key. Prevention is better than cure. So the earlier we can address any potential issues, the earlier we get things checked, then that can be a much better prognosis and outcome. So we really would always encourage, and hope that you would encourage your employees with these benefits, to make sure that they are asking questions or seeking that help as early as possible if they need to. We've had another couple of questions that have come through. So we have been asked, is there an age limit on the policy, Johnny?
Yeah, so obviously from an applicant member's perspective, we don't place an age limit on the policy, so to speak. There are a couple of rate differentials between the sort of under 65 population and the over 65 population, which obviously would be factored into the risk. There are age limits placed on dependents of the policy. It's a non-standard age limit placed on dependents. So it's the renewal following the 25th birthday of a dependent child. So they can remain on cover up until that point and will be immediately removed at the following renewal. But yeah, aside from that, not on applicant or a spouse membership.
Lovely. Thank you. So thank you very, very much for everybody's time today. That's been really, really beneficial. And like I said, if you do have any questions, if there is anything further that we can help with at all, please don't hesitate to contact the team. Oh, no, sorry, another one has just popped up. Can you access the scheme in Europe or worldwide, Johnny?
Yeah. So it is designed for the purpose of UK support. It doesn't include any international cover, and that's really worth highlighting. So the expectation would be that you would use, travel insurance for overseas cover. That's traveling abroad. Okay.
Lovely. Thank you. Okay. I have had a question from Colin regarding the costs of the scheme. Yes. Apologies for that, Colin. I missed that first message that you had sent through. I currently do not have with me at the moment the costs, but I can pop those through. So Colin, if maybe you can just pop us your email and we'll get those costs over to you ASAP so we can confirm those. Does anyone have any other questions? Okay. Well, I will say thank you very, very much to Johnny. Thank you for joining us today, Johnny, and providing that
Thanks for having me.
information. Really, really useful. And thank you to everybody for joining us. If we can, as I said, have I do have another Q&A that's popped up. Lovely, Colin. Thank you very much for that. I will get that information over to you as soon as I've wrapped the webinar up. So thank you for sending that through. I hope people have found today useful and informative. And as I've said, if we can be of any further assistance, please don't hesitate to give the team a call or drop us an email. And all the very, very best to everybody. Take care and enjoy the rest of your Tuesday. Thank you.
Thanks.